just another pagan man. In the woods anywhere you'll find me, paying homage to the great man, paying homage to the great man. Lone Wolf Show, everybody, and as usual, we have a special guest. Down under, though, across the pond, here or there, but definitely here on planet Earth, Earth-based spirituality at its best. This is the Lone Wolf Show. I'm the Lone Wolf. My co-host, Patricia Reeves. I'm also in the building. But with no further ado, I got to bring her on. Alissandra Raven-Moon. Nice to have you on the Lone Wolf Show. Nice to meet you. Merry meet from United States.
Merry meet, and it's a pleasure to meet you both. Thank you for inviting me on. It's a pleasure.
So initially, my wife had got in touch with you and facilitated the Lone Wolf Show, which is a great thing. And I just wanted to say, how did you guys connect on social media exactly?
To be honest, I'm not sure. If I've got some kind of connection with someone, it just kind of happens. I think you guys would agree. Like-minded, like-hearted people are brought together, and there are no accidents. So I believe it was one of those kind of situations.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with like attracts like. So I think like attracts like, perhaps with y'all energy. So I think it's really great that Patricia can reach out across the pond to people with like-minded. Now, do you practice earth-based spirituality?
Yes, absolutely. I practice, I teach and mentor. So my whole family have some kind of connection. On my mother's side, they're from Lake Baikal, Siberia, Mongolia. So they were shamans. So I have been nurtured my whole life in spiritual practices. So yes, it's my whole life. That was a very long answer to a short question.
So your family's from Northern Europe?
Yeah. So my dad's side, they're Highlanders, come to Australia, and my mother's side, yes. So near Russia, Siberia, Mongolia, and of course they were displaced during the wars and the revolution, and everybody ended up here in Australia.
No, that's really interesting. You say that displacement because of wars, and that really goes on within families that are traditional or bring those traditional values to the surface, in modern time. Wow, that's pretty deep. That's very interesting. So tell me, what is your experience in general with what is called the craft? Or let's get on the same page, because you mentioned Siberia, and I think that there's a lot of indigenous tribes around in that area. Are you in a particular tribe there that you're? Does it go that deep, or how's that working out?
So my mother's family, yes, they were in tribes. To be completely honest, when all the displacement happened, a lot of information was lost, connection. So I only know a small amount, and being from that area, it very much is on the land. It's not what most people would call civilized. So there's no records. So I only know a very, very small amount. All I know is that they were all shamans, medicine people, healers for animals and humans. And what I know from working with my ancestors and my spirit guides, who essentially got me on this path. So unfortunately, I don't know the name of tribes or anything like that, but I would love to find out one day.
How long have you been running Raven-Moon Academy?
So, in person, probably about 10 years. And completely online, or a little bit of a hybrid mixture, about 3 years. So it's been a while. I was kind of pushed into it. I never wanted to teach or step up and lead others. But as you know, the powers that be decide where they want us and when.
I'm sorry to hear that your website went down. Hopefully soon that you can get that website up and going again.
Yes. Oh, am I freezing?
You said Ravenwood Academy?
Raven-Moon Academy.
Okay, Raven.
Is my internet freezing for you guys?
No, you're
you're
100% loud and clear.
Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I keep freezing at my end, so I thought I'd better check on that. But yes, so Raven-Moon Academy, and we're working on at the moment an app. So instead of just the website, I thought an app, because that kind of helps bring the young people in. And as I'm sure you're both well aware, there's so much misinformation out there these days. So it's our duty, as I'm sure you probably consider yourselves elders or, leaders in the community as well, which, you definitely are leaders. We have to help those people who are coming into it, and everyone seems to be gravitating toward apps these days. So
we are the next generation, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, how long have you been practicing the craft, or do you practice the craft at all? Do you live it?
Yes, I live it. I breathe it. It's in everything that I do, even to make a cup of tea. That is weaved with magic and blessings and intention. So, goodness me. I'd have to say it would be coming up to 30 years now, possibly even a little bit more, but probably about 28 years in deep studying, completely devoted. So, I think when most people start out, there's a little bit of, 1 foot in, dabbling, learning, getting a feel for things.
So did you read books to teach yourself, or did you have a particular coven that you got attached with and learned from a particular elder of any sort?
So in the beginning, it just started off as books and speaking to family. That was when I sort of got introduced to what I didn't know were spirit guides at the time. And as I progressed, I had a beautiful mentor named Phil who took me on. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years later. He's still with me today, helping me, guiding me. But yeah, I think I've been in various covens. I don't know if some of them could actually be called covens. Had some interesting experiences with various groups. And as you know, this can be used by people who are all in the ego or, have less than honorable intentions. And I got myself caught up in that, unfortunately, but I learnt from it, and it's driven me even more to help protect and educate those who are coming into it for the first time.
That's really good awareness for, people, for seekers who want to learn, things like contemporary witchcraft. That's really important. I'm glad that you do that. I've seldom bumped into people that I've interviewed that have talked about that. That's really, I think that's very important. Do you think that some of these groups, like you mentioned, ego and, ego run, or, does it boil down to when it becomes a cult, and is not the craft a fertility cult to begin with?
Great questions, actually. I suppose it would come down to what you would, or what each individual would consider a cult, and whether that would be a negative or positive thing. I think there are various cults. They don't have to be in any form religious or spiritual. But yes, I think the people who are not doing their own inner work, they're not healing their own traumas, and are there to have their egos stroked, it does become a very nasty form of cult. A lot of control, abuse, manipulation. However, I think that the word cult does have a very dark kind of connotation around it. And it can kind of be a beautiful thing. I like to think of what I do as kind of a call to arms, a revolution in a way. But I have had people try and say that I'm trying to build a cult, but I think it depends on the leader's intentions as to whether it's for the greater good of all or whether it's for their own benefit and, yeah, nasty things.
So, hey, from Manchester, England, dudes, greetings. Manchester, England. So that's cool. Lots of viewership. Monica says, yes, my ancestors don't tell me tribe name either, just spirit family. So, like spiritual blood. You believe in spiritual blood? I mean, does it get that deep? Like macrocosmic family. We are macrocosmic family. Is that the thing, or?
I believe so. I think I have a few different theories, but yeah, yes, narcissism. But yeah, I definitely believe that that's a thing. And the blood as in not physical blood, but being used in the sense of like a spiritual blood being passed down spiritually. I've done a bit of research into even going back to the Nephilim and all sorts of things. So my study goes in all different directions down many rabbit holes. So
I was going to ask, have you written any books?
Have you written any books?
Not at all, no. No, my husband actually calls our house, he alternates between it being a quarry and a library. It's just all crystals and books. So I'm a massive bibliophile. But yeah, I think at the moment I'm currently reading 6 or 7 different books. Oh, hi, Kitty.
Yes, Onyx.
Oh,
This is Onyx the cat. He is a group mascot for a teachings module group that we do over here on the station called Witchcraft Teachings. So he is our mascot.
oh, beautiful. Thank you for joining us, Onyx. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Very cool. So what's the overall esteem or motto, if there would be one for your group? What do you teach your youngins?
My youngins. Some of my youngins are actually in their 80s, which is amazing.
That's interesting. So do you have a lot of children? Craft children.
Pardon?
Craft children.
Craft children. At the moment, I'm working with, I think I only have maybe 15. I have graduated so many. They're still in my world and being mentored unofficially by me. Right. But I'm about to relaunch the next intake of my programs. But it seems to be that once people start, even if it's just a 3-week course, they go on to the next one, the next one, the next one. So I have to keep building more and more and more because they never want to leave, which is fantastic. But I'm very much about self-empowerment and not relying on anybody else. It's about that self-sovereignty. And we need spiritual family. We need our brothers, our sisters, and that connection and support, but not to need to rely on anybody else. And I think that comes back to what we were talking about before about the cults and, ego-driven narcissistic leaders. We need to empower each other to stand in our own power and seek our own truth, and not just be told how it is by somebody else and be reliant on that person, if that makes sense.
What are some red flags of a narcissistic person? Or what are some red flags? What are some traits of somebody that is narcissistic? And can people who are narcissistic get help? Healing?
I believe so, that they can seek healing. But again, if they want it, anybody can achieve anything if they truly want it and are willing to do the work. A lot of narcissists don't want to because they're just not in that state of mind where they understand what's going on, and they don't want to. They kind of get off on the power. However, I have come across and helped a few to overcome that in my time. But some of the red flags would definitely be not allowing input from others, only, my way or the highway, only I am right, only my beliefs, you are beneath me. Trying to get people to do things they're uncomfortable with. However, I believe in the craft, in learning, we do need to be pushed outside of our comfort zone in order to grow, but there's a line. If something is a whole body no, if something goes against your values, your just everything that you believe in and feel is right, get out of there. And no leader should be pushing anybody to do that, especially when it comes down to nudity, anything sexual, causing harm to self or others, anything that just feels wrong. It's a no, and that is a massive red flag. Get out of there. But a lot of these leaders will try and convince and manipulate that it's not. I worked with one probably 8 years ago, and it was very much this. I actually ended up, I know better, and I still got caught up under his spell. He actually was doing magic on the members and the students, and those of us who were supposed to be working with him. And he was very much trying to push people into doing things that were against their morals, even to the point of convincing them that a pedophile who he had been protecting didn't actually do the wrong thing, and it was the rest of the community who was wrong. That was when I sort of clicked on that something was going on. But it can happen to any of us. So just be aware, feel into your body, and no matter who it is, always protect yourself.
Patricia, you have something?
Yes, awesome. I see it in your bio that you're an animal advocate. Do you have a rescue of your own, or do you support any rescues in any way in your area?
I would love to have my own rescue. At the moment, I do not. I support all of the local rescues, but I'm an official supporter of Animals Australia and Edgar's Mission. There's another one called Saving Huey. I believe they're in the United States, who I support quite regularly. But honestly, my goal is to also have a charity organisation off Raven-Moon Academy to support people in palliative care, as well as really support all of these rescue organisations. So if anybody's watching and you have a reputable rescue organisation and you would like to be put on our list for donations, each month I choose a different rescue to donate a portion of all of the profits that come in to that rescue, as well as the others that I mentioned.
My next question, I have another one. I know that the bearded dragons are like everywhere in your area. Now, do people have them as pets there, and do they get rescued if they're like getting treated badly? Because I know here a lot of people rescue them from different homes. Because I rescued one myself. So.
Oh, well, thank you
Seems
so
to
much
go.
for doing that. Oh, they're beautiful. There people do have a lot of reptiles and dragons as pets. There are a few rescues around, but not as many as I wish that there could be. But
I was just curious
really
on that. I know that's where they're from, is Australia. So I know there's probably a lot of wild ones where you're at.
We actually have not a bearded dragon, just it's called a skink. It's like just quite a large lizard here where we are, and a big blue tongue that have lived here for a long time. And they come into the house, and my dad's in a wheelchair. I have my office at his house, and they'll come in and jump up on his lap and eat from him. And they're completely wild, but we call them his dogs. So
Cool. That they're spiritually connected to him. That's wonderful.
Yes. Animals, children, and old people, very much. My dad's like me in that sense, very much an animal whisperer.
There's a question that came in the chat room. It said, do you think it is better for tribes, groups to stay small, to stay out of organized religion issues?
I think it really depends on the group, on the people, on the leaders, and what their goal is. I like the intimacy of a small group and that connection that can be built. So I do like to keep my programs small, and each of my programs, I consider them like my coven, like they are my family. However, me personally, my mission is to get out there and make it more mainstream, to educate and help people to come together, get over this witch war bullshit and unite. No matter what it is, there's always going to be issues, but that's when it comes down to everybody doing their inner work. And that's the first thing I teach when people come into Raven-Moon Academy, doing the soul work, the healing, the inner work. And when people are doing that, you find that there are significantly less issues. But I think it's an individual preference, really.
Is there a degree system in Raven-Moon?
Kind of. So I do have like a rough kind of level 1, 2, 3. But we are not so much a hierarchical system. Even me, myself, I don't refer to myself as the high priestess. I am a priestess because I priestess as my role in the community. But it's not like a traditional degree system. And when I initiate, I'm initiating people into the craft and their spiritual path and guiding them to create their own path with their own values that works for them, whilst still being under the structure and the protection of the academy.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a Gardnerian structure?
No, not at all. Not at all. And I'm not Wiccan, and I don't teach in a Wiccan way. I do teach some Wicca and some of the values because I like to give people, excuse me, a different taste of different paths that they can go down. But I'm more a shamanic witch or more transformational witchcraft. So I don't really follow like Gardnerian, Alexandrian, Georgian, anything like that. Although I have been initiated into Alexandrian and Georgian Wicca, I don't consider myself Wiccan anymore.
So was Wicca like a stepping stone, you think, to your own personal spiritual pagan path?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the case for most people. Wicca is kind of the first thing that they come across, and it's beautiful. I kind of consider it in a respectful way, not to, degrade it or anything, sort of like a preschool in the sense that it's where people first get that taste and know where they want to go and really get that hunger to continue and delve deeper into the Wiccan path or another path, or decide that maybe it's not for them. It seems to be that first port of call for many, many people. And when I started, I was very, very young. The internet had sort of just become something that could be available for people in their homes. And it was when Wicca was sort of really becoming more mainstream, or not mainstream, but like in the communities, it was more, out there. And so my mum actually started speaking to someone on the first chat program. She was Wiccan, and so that kind of led me down that path, and she was guiding my mum to help guide me.
Is there a lot of pagans in your area?
No, not really, unfortunately. I think there are more than what we realize, but because there's not much of a big pagan community, people tend to be more underground. Everybody that I've come across, I've found online, and rather than just from meeting them in the area. But I'm about an hour and a half from Sydney. There are more in Sydney, in the cities, but down in Wollongong where I am, there's not so much, and certainly not any reputable groups that I would recommend people look into.
All right, Priestess Alissandra Moon. We're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll see you back en route for about 3 minutes.
Thanks.
You already know we cannot be ousted.
Ho, ho, ho!
Happy Yule to all, and remember to leave cookies and milk for the spirit of Santa.
Ho, ho, ho!
I just love this time of year. Did you hear about the big fight? Oh yes, the oak and the holly are going to have it out.
It is no big deal. I mean, they go through this every year.
Yes, no big deal. The sun gets strong and dies. Such a familiar story. But hey, keep it right here on Witchcraft TV, and Happy Yule to you.
And Merry Christmas to the Christians, and Happy Yule to the pagans.
Ho, ho, ho!
All right, we're back here on the Lone Wolf Show with Priestess Alissandra Moon, who does the Raven-Moon Academy down under in Australia, and has some really cool insight. It's always great to talk to people on a path of pagan spirituality that you never met before, just to see different insights into just to chat, man, and see what kind of networking and building can be done, or different perspectives. I've seen so many different perspectives when it comes to contemporary witchcraft, from the countless, interviews that we've done on the Lone Wolf Show. So it's great to have you on the Lone Wolf Show. And I have all kinds of questions, and all my wife does. She told me on the break that she did. And some of the viewers had questions that we haven't even gotten to yet. And there's comments. I'm gonna go right to see if there's some comments there on the commercial break. Let's see. We have somebody was talking about narcissistic personality, but I like this one a little bit more. It's a little more positive because we're trying to keep it positive over here on Witchcraft TV and the Lone Wolf Show and stuff. On an interesting beginning, books to Wicca, Alexandrian to your own path, all good. That was Sophia Jones, who's across the pond, who is always a great supporter of Witchcraft TV and endeavors. The other comment by one of the users was, the narcissistic personality disorder is a defense mechanism to achieve the dynamic of the empty core, power control, and the acquisition of personality traits and residual benefits. They have no emotional empathy. I have no idea what that means. What I do know, and I'll stop talking because, this isn't about me. It's about you, Alissandra, is when it comes to shadow work, isn't that like Carl Jung all day?
Yes, so he was the pioneer of where shadow work came from. And yes, it has evolved a little bit since his time, but yeah, at its core, you're spot on there, very much.
Priestess Alissandra, what would be your advice to somebody that found earth-based spirituality for the first time, and they're young, they're a teenager, and you know the classic story, and that classic story happens all of the time. Every wheel there's a new one. There's somebody new that has experiencing the strength of the core of the earth, and the power of the great mother, in that attachment, and then your spirituality unfolds before their very eyes, as extravagant as we want to make it. What's your advice to the newbie? I know that the Americans were calling them baby witches for a while. I was trying to destroy the term. I think I was relevant of doing so. But it's, but minor endeavors, for stuff like that. What's your advice to the new, for the new blood, new breed?
Look, research as much as you can, but don't just take everything as gospel. Many of the 101 books, and it's just the same old regurgitated crap and fluff. Like, this is something that really irks me. There are some amazing authors who are starting to go deeper now. I hope that my books will be considered that once I release them in 2024. But research, speak to people, try and find mentors. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to pay, you don't have to join a coven, but someone who's a few steps ahead of you, and do your inner work. Get to know who you are, because without knowing yourself, your fears, your emotions, whether it be the dark trauma or the desires and the goals and the dreams and who you are as a soul, your magic and your craft, your practice is never going to get the depth and the power that it could. And it can even be quite detrimental to magic. If you're out there doing magic, practicing magic before doing any of the soul work, your fears and the subconscious comes into play, and you could very much end up manifesting things that you are afraid of. So you're creating the very thing you don't want to create. So look deeper than just the tools and the pretty words and the altars and the surface level stuff.
Patricia.
Oh, have you ever been to the United States?
I have.
USA.
Yes. That was back in 1995, actually. That was only, I was probably only about 5 years into my practice at that point. But I do plan to get over there very, very soon. I have some people who are really harassing me to go on tour over there. So yeah, I will keep you posted on that.
So are you going to do some workshops? Is that what you mean by going on tour? Like going to some festivals and do it, like putting your workshop out there?
Yeah, different workshops, going to some festivals. I've just started doing some like speaking events and different things. So I have some people wanting me to do that. So yeah, it's kind of wide open at the moment. There may even be some retreats. I will give the people what they want when the time comes. What's
going to be your first festival that you're going to go to?
Oh, goodness. That's a really good question, actually. I do speak to Matt Oren and Devin Hunter quite a bit. So I know they're involved in some really awesome things with Llewellyn. What's it called? It's just completely, it'll come back to me. However, I absolutely have to do Burning Man, even like just as a spectator or as an attendee. That is something that is on my bucket list 100%.
My friend in Indiana actually does the Burning Man.
Yep.
When that time comes, they'll build this the Burning Man and then they'll burn it.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to go this year, but I didn't get to. But next year, hopefully, me and my husband will be able to go.
They're going to burn the man.
Yeah.
Do you think historically they actually burned the man?
For the harvest, supposedly they would sacrifice themselves for the harvest.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Again, I have a couple of different theories, and different cultures would have done different things. But in relation to that one, it is definitely possible. Because I know that it was a different time, and that's what I think people need to understand. It wasn't like today, just going and plucking someone out of their home and nailing them up and burning them. Like, it was a different time, and they saw the world differently. And for many, it was an honor to be able to sacrifice oneself.
And they did that on their own free will too, and that's what people don't realize is they didn't get forced to do that. They did it in their own free will, the sacrifice of the spirit. Yeah,
that's right.
Or if they throw a bunch of money to their families and
they're
stuff.
Passionate about it. There's nothing wrong with having passion in something.
That's exactly right. And there are still many cultures and religions today that have something like that in them, and it is a massive honor. They decide this, or it could even be similar to like with shamanism. You are chosen from a young age, and you experience the awakening, and maybe not the shaman sickness, but your ancestors choose you, and it's like you're born into this role, and you're excited about it. Exactly.
Somebody's being a bit funny. You won't burn you in Manchester, England, Harold. You are very welcome, brother. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you won't burn me if I come to Manchester, England. And to be frank, I mean, I'm from a place called New Hampshire, in New England, in New Hampshire, in a city called Manchester. So that's where I was born. But that's cool. But yeah, anyways, new world, old world, new world and old world. So yeah, man, there's all kinds of different questions I could ask you for different perspectives and stuff like that. I think we've covered a lot of it. One of the things with Wicca that really changed my outlook on life was Doreen Valiente's Charge of the Goddess, and it has a particular sentence where it says highest ideals, to achieve your highest ideals. And for me, that's what helped my decision to quit drinking alcohol. And ever since then, it's been like really good flying. It's been really good time. Looks like I'm drinking Budweiser. It's not. It's non-alcoholic. So it's just one of those things when it's time to party, or for like when people are feeling festive. I just do the non-alcoholic. But that came from those words from Doreen Valiente. With that being said, Doreen Valiente definitely having her mark on contemporary, what is contemporary witchcraft, because it wasn't very long ago. Who's your favorite celebrity witch?
Yeah, I may be a little biased.
And you can go worldwide with that. You can go worldwide with that answer too. It doesn't have to be exclusively to Australia.
Yeah. Gosh, actually, there are quite a few Australians who I really do admire. And obviously, Doreen,
Or
amazing.
in living or in Summerland. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're in Summerland or living. Either one.
I think there are different people for different reasons. In modern day, yes, I am biased, but I think Devon Hunter and Matt Oren, they're quite new to the scene, but they have, and Christopher Pensack, they have opened up a whole new level to witchcraft and brought it out and made it available to more people. And I have great respect for them for that purpose, for that reason, sorry. I love Doreen, Charge of the Goddess. I think no matter which path you are in, the Charge of the Goddess is something that everybody can take and use, even if it's just one little paragraph. And like yourself, and congratulations and well done for giving up alcohol, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing. Yep. Good on you.
Keeps me out of prison.
I hear you. I have a
brutally honest.
It's true though. So many people, it's not a good thing. And if you can't just drink a little bit and then be done with it, maybe you're better off not doing it. I don't drink anymore myself because I'm out of control. I've had a pretty rough past, which I won't go into, trying to keep it positive here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are so many. Lai DeAngelis, who is now Law DeAngelis, Wendy Rule, I adore for, again, different reasons, her music.
Wow, cool. I adore her song Hecate.
Oh yeah.
Wendy Rule, and I've loved that song for years and years and years. Unfortunately, on the last platform that I was working for, French TV, I wasn't allowed to deal with Wendy Rule. But now I'm allowed to now, so I may reach out. I think Wendy Rule is a marvelous musician, and Wendy Rule. Well, I love Hecate, her song. Big fan. I'd love to play it on the station. I should reach out, see if I can't play it on the station.
I'm sure she would be more than open to that. Like she's amazing, and she's very much open to helping and being involved. So she'd also be a wonderful guest to have on here.
Have you ever seen Fiona around the island or Australia? Do they call Australian island? I didn't mean to be disrespectful at all.
No disrespect. Some people do call it an island. At one of the gatherings, I think, but she's more over in the US and traveling around. I think she's actually her band. They're in Australia again, in Byron Bay, I believe. They've been traveling around. But yeah, I think at a few gatherings and things she's been around, and there's quite a few of them. There are so many who started off in Australia and then went over to the US. I think it's I can't blame them. You guys have much better scene over there.
So early in the interview, we were talking about Wicca and stuff like that. And, the difference between, because there's a difference between Wicca and witchcraft. Mm-hmm. And it really depends on who you're talking to and what slant. Wicca being the religious undertones, and witchcraft being more of like an art form, like it's an art, it's a craft, it's something that you do, what would you agree with that? I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so I feel, Wicca is itself, it's sort of like, within Christianity, you have the different sects, the different denominations, and right. Wicca is its own, and then it has the different paths within that. It's its own path in a way. and then witchcraft being the umbrella, Wicca being a part of witchcraft.
Mhm.
But, you know, witches, not all witches are Wiccan. And I think Wicca, to some degree, it always is going to stem back to Gardnerian. Like, it's always going to, it's got its roots there, really.
Right. And then Freemasonry.
Yeah,
and then Freemasonry. So my other oh man, I'm sorry, I cut you off. What'd you say?
Oh no, I was just going to say my husband is a Freemason, actually.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Wiccan spirituality is mixed with Freemasonry. I'm not really sure. Like I'm uninitiated with Gardnerian or BTW and stuff like that. And although you know it's a great family and stuff, I just never been around. I've never been around them folks and stuff. But let's get to the root of it. Let's get to the root of what is contemporary witchcraft. It's direct descendants from animism, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Animism. Didn't you mention that you teach shamanism? Do you ever deal with shape shifting? And if so, do you incorporate a fungi?
Yes, so I teach shamanic witchcraft, not actual shamanism. I'm not a shaman, and yeah, I'd never call myself that. But we do shapeshift. I don't really use any hallucinogens or plant medicine, just because I'm not qualified in that. However, if someone wants to go down that road, I do refer to a few professionals who can take them on that journey. And I'm looking to do the ayahuasca journey in the near future. It terrifies me. More the purging, not any of the other stuff, just the purging.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
we run a documentary on ayahuasca and the benefits on the station, so that's really cool. I'm gonna have to put that back into rotation ASAP. Cool. That's really that must be really exciting. Yeah. I have an uncle who is into shamanism, and he was growing ayahuasca. He was saying that consumption of ayahuasca repairs like brain nerve endings in your brain. It's like pretty much puts your wiring back together if you ever lost it, or if it needed to. I don't know. It's just supposed to make you like really badass.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
But it's just like a one-time deal, like, and it takes away addictions and pain and sorrow and bad emotions and all kinds of stuff. So that's really cool. Yeah,
it's like a reset button, and it you know, it's supposed to connect you with the mother and your higher self and the universe. Love that.
So how do you connect with what we call mother, or Mother Earth, or because we call all kind of labels like Gaia, or Aphrodite, whatever you want to call the mother. Christians call her Mary, and all kinds of stuff. Isis is the great mother. How do you connect with divinity itself? Do you just meditate?
A lot of meditation, definitely. And that's another thing, going back to your question for the newbies. Meditate. Just meditate all that you can, but self-guided meditation, not plugging into something. Transcendental meditation. That is something that I practice myself and preach a lot. I love to just go into trance through drumming and chanting and dancing, just going out in nature and literally hugging a tree and connecting our energies and cycling our energies through each other, connecting with the spirit of tree, of plant, of bird, of any life, whether it be animal, human, plant, Mother Sky, like the sky, Mother Moon. There are just so many ways, but very much coming within and connecting energies. I do enjoy a lot of journey work and shamanic journey work, as well as astral projection. But yeah, I think ultimately all of those things in transit really comes back to meditation.
Somebody said, sorry to cut you off. Somebody
No,
said,
yeah.
could I respectfully ask a question,
Mm.
brothers? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Ask away. I mean, I love the, but we could probably take one more question. It's getting to the end of the show. It's been great. Patricia, thanks so much for finding Priestess Alissandra.
I got one last question.
No, so I guess
If I
we
can
have
fit
a
it
couple
in if
more.
we have time.
Mm.
So yeah, Patricia, what do you got? And we'll see if the in the chat room can get straight.
Do you have a god or goddess that you resonate with or use in your work?
Yes. Oh, just as you asked that, my ear started ringing very, very loudly. That's one of my calling cards. But yes, I've been chosen by Diana. I tried to work with Hecate initially and was rejected and told I wasn't ready. Diana chose me and came through, so I am a priestess of Diana. However, I do work with Hecate and other goddesses and gods, on different occasions and for different reasons. But yeah.
So you trek a Hellenistic path?
Kind of. Honestly, I have just created my own
Yeah.
path.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, call it eclectic, but whatever you want. I am me. I practice the craft. I practice witchcraft, and I connect with you all. I'm not real big on labels.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, the chat room didn't get right. Thank you so much for coming on. Oh, did it?
Oh,
That's the question.
good
Question
timing.
popped up.
Have you been a victim? Have you been a victim of a narcissist moon? I don't even get the question.
Has she been
Yeah.
a victim of a
Yeah.
narcissist?
Yeah,
Oh.
definitely. On quite a few occasions, actually, in relationships as well as through leaders in the craft, or so-called leaders in the craft. So yes, but I prefer to see it as I have survived narcissist abuse, overcome.
Well, that definitely hits home at the last minute of the Lone Wolf Show. I feel like my story runs parallel with that. With that being said, there's just, I think it's up to us to have some kind of awareness.
Discernment.
Right. Discernment is important, and, awareness. And, the Lone Wolf Show, Witchcraft TV, wants to bestow that awareness upon the pagan community worldwide. Thank you so much for your time, Alissandra. It was a pleasure having you on the Lone Wolf Show. Keep it right here on Witchcraft TV, www.witchcrafttv.online. Lone Wolf Show. I'm out. Blessed be. Have a great holidays, a great time.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.